All right, today we're jumping into a really powerful idea, one that has literally shaped thousands of years of history and faith. We're talking about the concept of one single, divinely chosen place for worship. It's an idea with ancient roots, but believe me, its impact is incredibly modern. Let's dive in. So, you gotta ask yourself, right? How does one little spot on the map become this epic center for both intense devotion and, well, intense conflict? To get to the bottom of that, we need to go way back, all the way back to the beginning of this story. Okay, so our story kicks off with the ancient Israelites on the brink of entering the Promised Land, Canaan. But here's the thing. They weren't exactly walking into an empty house.
Yeah. When they get there, Canaan is already bustling with all sorts of people and cultures. And for the Israelites, the biggest, most glaring issue was how these people worshipped. From their perspective, it was, well, wicked is the word used. It was fundamentally wrong. At the heart of it all, idolatry. I mean, this was considered the greatest sin possible. It was a direct violation of the very first, most important commandment. We're not talking about some minor disagreement here. This was a head-on collision of two completely different worldviews.
But what's really fascinating is how and where all this idol worship was happening. And that brings us to this really key idea: the high places.
So, high places, what are we talking about? Well, it's pretty literal. These were just hills or mountains that really stood out from the landscape. The Canaanites basically used them as these big, natural, outdoor temples for their rituals.
And this quote really paints a picture, doesn't it? Worship wasn't happening inside some building. No, it was everywhere. On the mountains, on the hills, even under big leafy trees. The whole countryside was basically peppered with these sacred spots, which, from the Israelite point of view, were totally forbidden. Now, because this practice was so widespread, so baked into the local culture, God gives the Israelites a really clear warning. And this is before they've even stepped one foot into the new land. You can really feel the weight of the command in this passage from Deuteronomy. This wasn't some gentle suggestion. It was a very specific, direct set of instructions from Moses about exactly what to do with all the religious stuff they were about to find. So let's really break this down. The command wasn't just, hey, don't go there. No, the instruction was to actively dismantle the entire system, demolish their altars, shatter their sacred pillars, burn their idols. And get this, the final step was to literally erase the names of their gods from that place. We're talking about a total spiritual reset. But it's super important to see that this wasn't just about tearing things down. It was also about building something new. The whole idea was to get rid of all those scattered high places and replace them with one single chosen location for worship. And this verse right here, this is the game changer. It spells out the radical new plan. It's not just don't do that anymore. It's from now on, you don't pick the place. I will pick the place. A single spot for his name to dwell, and that's where you'll go. I mean, this was a massive, revolutionary shift. Think about it. It takes worship from this scattered, do-it-yourself kind of thing that was happening all over the countryside, and it centralizes everything. Suddenly, there's one official headquarters, one address for worship for all the tribes. So, the big question is, where was this place? For a while, it wasn't specified, but eventually, one city emerged as the spot. And boy, does its significance still echo today.
And that place, of course, was Jerusalem. It wasn't obvious at first, but over time, it became understood as the fulfillment of that prophecy, the one place chosen from all the tribes for God to put his name. And you can draw a direct line from that ancient command all the way to today. It's the whole reason why the Western Wall in Jerusalem, a remnant of the temple complex built on that site, is still the absolute center of Jewish worship. And this isn't just about tradition or history. It's a core theological belief. The conviction is that there is literally no other place on earth where certain sacrifices can be made. That one spot is, for all intents and purposes, irreplaceable. And this is where thousands of years of history just slam right into the modern day. That idea of exclusivity, that there is only one divinely chosen place, is exactly what makes the site so important, and honestly so controversial. It's why it becomes what the source describes as a focal point of the clash between Muslims and Jews. So it leaves you with this incredible question, doesn't it?
How does a command from 3,000 years ago, a command about hills and trees and one single place to worship, still have the power to shape global politics, to define who people are, and to fuel conflict in our 21st century world?